You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I'm so happy to have you joining me here on today's first house call of the weekend. We have an amazing bunch of questions this week, and I know I typically do say that, but these are some real case studies. And so that's the thing about the Cabral House Call. We're answering all sorts of different wellness, weight loss, anti-aging based questions, all things health and wellness, whether it's brain or body. But really, we're looking at real life case studies. This is what would happen if I was working with someone on Skype or in person. And it's a great teaching lesson, I think, for all of us, really. I mean, this is the best way to learn, but especially for all those health coaches out there learning and looking to take their own skill level to that next level. You're seeing the questions I would ask and what I would do, where I would start, what labs I would recommend. And when you do that, you're able to say, okay, maybe you're only seeing a couple people a day right now, but listening to this is like seeing an extra 6 people or so a week. It will help to take your game, your level of education to that next level. And for everyone else, for everyone who's not a health coach, which is still the majority of people listening right now, the majority of people listening are just good everyday people, and they're looking to get answers to their questions. Of course, that's what we're talking about right now. But for everyone, you're learning about taking control of your body. You're learning about the most important thing in life, which is your health. Without your health, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter about the relationships you have, any of those things, because if you don't have your health, you can't enjoy them. That's what I learned at a very young age. I didn't know any of this stuff. I really didn't. I learned by trial and fire. I believe that's what they call it. Literally, I would get sick. I would get a little bit better. I would relapse, but the whole time I was frustrated. I was angry. I was upset. I was depressed. I was mad at my parents. I was mad at my friends. I was mad at my, doctors, because basically for all different reasons, right? My parents, they're supposed to be my parents. They couldn't get me well. Doctors are supposed to have all the answers. They couldn't get me well. My friends didn't understand what I was going through, so they didn't, what to even make of my situation. So here's the thing. As we're going through these processes, we're learning a lot about ourselves. I think that's what really matters. And some of us get sick, some of us get really sick, whatever level may be. But all of us, as we go through this process of becoming well, we get better. And we don't get better just in our own body. We get better in our mind as well. I really believe that. Who I am now is just completely different than how I was raised. And that's no disrespect to anyone, teachers, parents, grandparents, anyone. They did a fantastic job raising me. But it was the early life lessons into understanding what it's like to be sick and not well that allowed me to now become the person who I am today and have a little bit more empathy, because I didn't have empathy before. I really didn't. I was just, again, like I say, some punk kid from Medford, Massachusetts, and that's who I was. It really was. That's who I was. And all of that changed. It did change when I became sick, but I'm better now. I feel better than I ever have, and that's why I'm here. I'm sharing these experiences and also the knowledge, the data of now working with over 250,000 people appointment-wise at our 2 locations. So yeah, I'm excited to get started, excited to share some more case studies with you. So let's do it. The first one is from Anonymous. Now, it's an extremely long one. They might have taken the new record. There's been a few records set before along the largest amount of actual text written in, and I can't read it because it would be about 5 minutes long. Because like I said, although I'm a fast reader in terms of reading books for knowledge, not in terms of reading out loud. I'm not the very good storyteller, we'll put it that way, in terms of reading a book out loud. So I'm going to give you all the highlights because, of course, I've read this question already. I read them right before I go on the air here, but also I highlighted, I bolded the most important things I can read you. So this is from Anonymous, and they say they're a longtime listener and asker of questions. So they said, here's my entire history in a tiny nutshell, which they did make it tiny. I give them credit for that. So lifelong history of terrible nutrition, raised on sugar, a lot of food cravings. They have recurring fungal infections all over the body and bloating, suffering from persistent anxiety attacks. They have LPR, which is basically think of it as like an esophageal swallowing based issue. We're looking at albuterol inhaler for asthma. They have, about 1 month. So I've been doing my candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol. And they say, without a doubt, this has made a huge difference. I've lost fat. I don't tend to need my inhaler. My fungal skin infections seem to be pretty much non-existent. And this is a little embarrassing, but my wife no longer suffers a yeast infection every time we have sex. This was the case for years. Is this a definite sign of candida? Okay, they go on to say, could all of my symptoms be caused by stress and negativity and depression? At this stage, I feel my best course of action is to continue the candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol, work on stress reduction, and hope that the symptoms start to become less and less over time. Thanks so much for doing what you do. Your podcast has been an absolute lifesaver and continues to help me through some very dark times. So, Anonymous, I know exactly what you're going through. I understand, what you've written in, and I've seen it quite a number of times. And, the hard thing is that for those that are really sick, I pride myself on being able to tell people they'll be pretty much symptom free in like 3 to 4 weeks, and they'll feel pretty much all the way better within about 12 weeks. But then are there those people who are really, really sick. And those people who are really, really sick, it sometimes takes about 4 to 6 months. Again, not like a super long time, but that's how long it may take you to get fully on the mend. And just keep in mind this, that every 90 to 120 days, your cells turn over, every red blood cell in your body. So think of it this way. If you're that sick, that there's that much going on, you can't expect to get better overnight. It's just not a possibility. You don't plant a seed in the ground under the dirt and hope to see it sprout the next day. It just doesn't work. Like, our bodies are natural organisms. They're living organisms, and they don't turn over the next day. That's a good thing. You want to just gradually be able to rebuild, putting lots of good nutrition, minerals, enzymes, vitamins, antioxidants, all the things that your body needs. And if you want to speed up that process, you can. You can speed it up by doing dry brushing, by using infrared sauna on a 3 to 4 time a week basis, or as much as you can. Exercise every other day at least, and within your limits. Get 8 hours of sleep per night, every night. Eat a lot of vegetables and a lot of berries. You can do smoothies. You can do greens drinks. You could take your daily probiotic. You could use the Dr Cabral daily protocol, which is what I do after you finish up with your candida protocol. So yeah, this is exactly what I recommend. I mean, if I were you, like you said, was your wife getting a yeast infection because you had a yeast infection? Absolutely. A lot of people don't think that men can get outward yeast infections. They absolutely can, without a doubt. Like, easily, no problem at all. Of course they can, without a doubt. Jock itch, athlete's foot, all of these things are fungal infections. They are yeast infections. That's what they are. And men can they have yeast all the time, basically. And that can be passed on to women as well if it's an overgrowth. So you're going to have to keep going with the candida and bacterial protocol. Once you finish, you're going to ease into the nutrition plan that we speak about. You're going to be careful about doing your ongoing integrations with other foods. I would absolutely recommend, like I said at that point, the Dr. Cabral Daily Protocol. I would use the Healthy Gut Support Powder after you're done with your 12 weeks of the CBO protocol. I would most likely do a little bit extra vitamin C, 1 to 3 grams per day. I would also probably do an activated B vitamin. You say that you're prone to anxiety and depression. Well, I would do 1 activated B complex with your daily nutritional support powder every morning. Hopefully you're doing that already, your daily nutritional support powder. You're doing a smoothie in the morning. That will absolutely get you going. That will set you on the right path. Keep doing that. Keep going through that. 12 weeks later, check in with us. Happy to offer a little bit more advice. Or, one of the best things you can do is just work with one of my health coaches. Like, legitimately, you can work with one of our health coaches for 30 to 60 minutes and you can get unbelievable advice. We have amazing health coaches. And if they ever have a question, if they ever don't know, they run the question by me. So no matter what, you're going to be getting my personal advice either way. And I can't recommend our two coaches enough. You can simply go to stevencabral.com/store, which is just my online community hub, and you'll find out more about our health coaches right there. Okay. Lysandra is up next, and she is writing in, "Hello, Dr. Cabral. Thank you so much for your commitment to help everyone you possibly can. Your health recovery story is such an inspiration to me. I'm writing to get your advice about Meniere's disease. For an entire year, I suffered from daily migraines and vertigo. I saw a naturopath who suspected that the root cause was extreme adrenal fatigue, as I had undergone a 10-month span of extreme stress just before the vertigo started. I had been able to manage my migraines better through stress reduction, dietary changes, and acupuncture. However, I have occasional bouts of vertigo that seem more Meniere's in nature. I get debilitating vertigo with hearing loss and tinnitus in my right area. The episode lasts for days." I'm going to move down towards the end because this is a longer one as well. "Meniere seems to be that you can't treat it or control it aside from reducing sodium intake, and I just have to hope for the best, but you'll likely completely go deaf. I should also mention that I have celiac and chronic IBS for many, many years. I just finished doing your food sensitivity and candida test, and I'm looking forward to healing my gut with the help of your team. I do believe that my gut health is related and possibly is the key to fixing this. Your story and podcast give me hope that I can affect change and be healthy. Thank you so much for your help." All right, so first things first, Lysandra, this is not about you, but this is me probably going off on a little bit of a rant right now. And I want you to understand that anything you read online is most likely from a conventional medicine perspective. Never believe that there is no hope for you. In my opinion, a great disservice that conventional medicine has done. Do not believe that you're going to go deaf because you have Meniere's or you have a dis-ease that we're giving the name Meniere's disease, okay? That does not have to be your life's pattern. That does not have to be your legacy, your destiny. Absolutely not. That is the case for people who are not willing to do what you're willing to do, which is look into the underlying root causes for what gives this outward symptom of what we call Meniere's disease. And if you don't know what Meniere's disease is, if you were listening in, it's essentially debilitating vertigo or dizziness upon standing, lightheadedness upon standing. So, of course, it's debilitating. Disease, well, I don't know. What are we considering a disease? I consider it a dis-ease of the body. And whenever there's a dis-ease of the body, I simply know that there's a symptom. The symptom of Meniere's disease or dis-ease is vertigo, is lightheadedness. And I know that there's only so many reasons why this would happen to the body. There's fluid in the inner ear and sinuses, okay? So there's that possibility. There's a histamine issue. There's a food sensitivity. There's inflammation caused by something else in the body, like leaky gut or intestinal-based permeability. It could be a virus. That's another reason why some people get Meniere's disease or vertigo as well. And then there's also allergies, and there's other issues that go along with the sinuses as well. There's nervous system imbalance, like you mentioned, adrenal-based issues. And I don't know about cutting low sodium out. That just, to me, doesn't seem like a very good idea, especially if you were extreme adrenal fatigue before. It could actually mean that you have a shortage, a lowering of sodium, because when you have a lowering of sodium, sometimes your blood pressure drops. When you have low blood pressure, what happens? You get lightheaded, you get dizzy. That to me doesn't mean that we should cut out sodium. It means that we might want to look into using some sea salt, like Himalayan sea salt, Celtic sea salt, or real salt, which is the Utah salt beds as well. So, I mean, these are very big things that a naturopath, again, not... So there's no, by saying naturopath, who knows? Like, who knows what you're working with? It's just like saying an MD or saying an acupuncturist. Everyone's created different, and just everyone has their own experience that they're coming from. But you should be able to find your answers to this, and I'm very happy that you ran that organic acids test, because if this is an inflammation-based issue and a food sensitivity-based issue, because these proteins are leaking through your gut wall, causing histamine issues, causing inflammation, and that goes directly to the inner ear, to the sinuses, whatever it might be, you're going to be able to correct that by healing your gut. So really looking forward to hearing that, hearing your results. And just keep in mind that their disease is not something that you should even pay any attention to. What I want you to pay attention to are your symptoms, which we call a disease. And those symptoms are an outward sign of an inner imbalance. Go inward, peel back the onion, figure out, keep asking why. Why is it that I have Meniere's disease? Okay, it's a lectin sensitivity. Okay, why would I have a lectin sensitivity? Because I took a lot of antibiotics when I was younger, or I had a lot of stress, or I had this gut-based imbalance. Okay, so now what happened? Well, maybe I have leaky gut and my immune system's overactive from a Th2-based perspective. Oh, okay, so basically I'm creating chronic inflammation every time I eat, and especially when I'm eating lectins, which are contained in the skins of certain veggies and grains that are now setting off this cascade event from an IgG perspective, which means a day or two after I eat these foods, I'm starting to get this inflammation response, which is now leading to Meniere's. So hopefully from that little rant right there, you're able to see as you peel back that onion, you'll be able to finally figure out what's wrong with you. And it can happen. It can help every single person. There's no one that can't help. That's the bottom line. Okay. Kara is up next. Hi, Dr. Stephen Cabral. I have a 21-month-old daughter who I'm still nursing during the day only. She eats a nutrient-dense diet. She typically starts off with scrambled egg, avocado, and fruit. Lunch is usually leftovers. Dinner is wild salmon, grass-fed bison beef, free-range chicken, and broccoli and sweet potatoes. I give Claire Labs infant probiotic with a little camu and some echinacea daily. I got in the habit of giving her echinacea when boosting her immune system before traveling on a plane. I also give her some elderberry occasionally. Is this okay? Can the echinacea be overdone? Additionally, she was born at 36 weeks. She made it through and prevented a lot of other birth defects. She was perfect, but was low in iron at 10 months. I fixed that with food combining, iron-rich foods, grass-fed liver, beef, bison, and camu, molasses, and at the end of it, some probiotics. We raised it from an 8.6 to a 13.3 in 3 months without medicine. Does she also need a multivitamin soon? Thank you for your work and house calls. Okay, so again, I shortened Kara's question just a little bit. And for everybody, you simply go to stephencabral.com/podcast, and you can always tune into previous podcasts. But if you go to the current podcast, which is today's, you would go to stephencabral.com/547, and you can read everyone's question in depth. And of course, if you're on iTunes, just go to show description and you'll be able to read along with those questions as well. So, Kara, I just have to say, you are a model mom who, is really doing the absolute best for her child. I mean, this is what I love to read. This is why I do what I do. This is amazing. I mean, I don't think you could do any more than you're doing right now, except maybe asking these questions. So you're doing fantastic. Let me just give you a couple tips, because there might not be any vitamins or anything extra needed besides the probiotics and things like that you're doing, because your child's getting such a nutrient-rich diet. I mean, again, very, very impressive. So here's what you want to look at is just make sure when you're doing the fruit and all of that, that if you're doing a meal with like scrambled eggs and avocado, just make sure to do the fruit first, okay? So tune back into a previous Cabral concept where I talk about food combining and eating fruit first. Very easy to search. You can just scroll down the page or actually just type it into our brand new search box. So type in fruit first or just type in food combining and you'll find out shows on that. And then what I would like to say is echinacea should not be used actually for more than 2 weeks straight. So there's some really good research showing that you're not going to get any more additional effects from echinacea after 2 weeks, and it could potentially not work as well the next time around and maybe even heighten the white blood cells to too high a degree. So what I would say is just like you were using it before, use it when your daughter's getting on an airplane or when there's a cold going around or you have a cold, or if she gets a cold. Again, you can just use our children's immunity protocol, which has that echinacea built right into it. I use it with my kids. Literally, I always have extra bottles right on hand. And that's all we do. We really do. I have a beautiful 3-year-old and 5-year-old, almost 3. My daughter just turned 5 in July. And that's all we do. We really do. And they're healthy, happy kids. They're great kids. And again, we just try to just do the natural based things, and we keep our options open. If we ever needed, if they were ever in a situation that they needed some type of medication, of course we would do that. We do what's best for them. But what's best for them is making sure that they never take antibiotics or any drug ever gets put in their body unless it's a life-saving condition. So, Kara, keep up the great job. I mean, keep up the great work. You're really doing fantastic. And if you do a children's multi, tune back into a previous podcast on children's multivitamin. You'll see that there's a gummy that they could do, or even better, a liquid multivitamin as well. And then if you'd like to do what my kids do, I simply make them the daily nutritional support powder. with a little bit of that greens powder. And that's how they get their multivitamin in there. And they're young, and so they're only using a half a scoop. That's it. So they just use a half a scoop. And they don't even all finish the whole smoothie sometimes, but I know they're getting the nutrition that they need. Okay, Jamie is up next. We might have to make this the last question of the day just to keep within our time limit. But of course, tomorrow we have another 5 to 6 questions to answer. Hey, Dr. Cabral, for a while now, I've been having issues drinking tea, green, black, and mate. Even when drinking it after a meal, I still get bloated, heartburn, belching, and brain fog. But coffee I have no issues with. Although I've used to never have an issue with tea, I find out after testing that I have SIBO and H. pylori. I'm on your CBO protocol, which is the candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol for it. And although I took a break from drinking tea, I read that black and green tea have compounds that are good against fighting H. pylori, but when I tried to reintroduce them, the symptoms came right back. Also, I'm pretty sure that these gut issues, I have developed a histamine intolerance. Will I be able to drink again? If so, how long should I wait before reintroducing? Thanks. Okay, so here's the issue with tea. I found this myself, is that those people with a histamine-based issue, green tea, black tea, all of your teas are the enzyme that degrades histamine blockers. Okay, so there's a histamine produced by our own gut, so our own intestines, called diamine oxidase. And this enzyme is circulated into our blood, and that helps to actually degrade histamines that are in our blood. So sometimes because of MTHFR issues and all sorts of genetic-based variants, that we are not always the best at reducing and not converting to histamine in the body. So when you're using these teas, it can actually create almost like a vicious cycle. So you're producing the histamines, you're producing the additional mast cells, the cytokine response, but what happens is you're not able to degrade it. And the teas don't allow you to degrade it as fast. The other issue is that teas are even higher in lectins than coffee is. So really, you might have a hidden lectin-based issue. So you might actually have an issue with all beans, legumes, those types of things. Test it out. And if you do, and you have an issue with teas, then you're probably looking at a lectin issue. Once you said brain fog, I was thinking lectin. So, look into that. Could be certainly a lectin-based sensitivity. This can be rebalanced when you're not as high on the TH1, TH2 imbalance, and when you repair your gut. So when would I reintroduce it? Well, I would introduce it after you finish the CBO protocol and after you did at least 30 to 90 days or 30 to 90 days of the healthy gut support powder. Okay, that's going to help rebuild that gut wall. It's going to help to seal it up, and you'll be using the daily probiotic support at that time as well. That's going to help rebuild your gut. Now, when that happens, hopefully you'll be producing more enzymes to degrade histamines. At that point, try reintroducing a very weak version of green or black tea, or maybe even start with white tea, because white tea will be not as high in histamines. Yes, that's it. The other thing you could do is you could try ginger tea. Ginger tea, yes, histamines, but helps to break down and digest food better. Okay, my last point is this, is that it is possible, since green tea is a little bit more alkaline, that you're alkalizing your stomach while it's supposed to be more acidic. This can cause the bloating. Okay, that was my last point. All right. Let me get one more question in. Okay, last question of the day. It's from Sarah. Sarah's asking, hello, I'm hoping to tap into your wealth of health knowledge to help my son. He is a commercial airline pilot. He gets sick with cold-like symptoms quite often. What is a good health kit he could travel with so he's armed and he begins to feel the sinus, air, and nasal congestion creeping up on him? He usually comes down with a strep once a year, as well as cold symptoms I listed even more often. Maybe a daily immune boosting protocol would be in order too. Thanks so much. God bless you, Anonymous. Anonymous as in Sarah. Okay, well, you're anonymously Sarah since we already read your name, but we don't know your last name. Okay, so here's the answer. The answer is I recommend the adult immune protocol that we have on our website. Now, a lot of people don't even know that all of these protocols exist. We actually even have an ear, nose, and throat protocol, so that would certainly help with the sinus, air, nasal congestion. If you just go to stevencabral.com/store, try to do that. You can certainly do it on mobile. It's mobile responsive. It works there as well. But if you click on the supplements tab, just scroll down that page. It'll take you maybe 10 seconds, but scroll down and actually see what we offer. This is directly from our practice. So you'll get to see what I do with my kids. You'll get to see the Dr. Cabral Daily Protocol that I do with myself. You get to see the ear, nose, and throat protocol, again, that I do with myself, that I do with everyone that I care for, my family, my friends, everyone. So check that out. So what would I recommend? Well, I would recommend traveling using the adult immune protocol, of course, right? That makes sense. And I would use the ENT protocol when your son feels about coming on. All right. And the last thing I would do is, how do we stay healthy on a daily basis when we're not sick? So we keep those bouts of the cough and colds away, is that we use the daily nutritional support shake with 1 tablespoon of the daily fruit and vegetable blend. So you're getting all the vitamins your body needs and the minerals and the antioxidants, and then you're getting all the fruit and vegetable antioxidants that you need as well. And then I would do the daily probiotic support. So that's called the Dr. Cabral Daily Protocol. Why is it called that? Because I use it myself every single morning. It's honestly, if you could do nothing else every day, that's less than $5 a day. There's no way you're going to find a breakfast that cheap. Your Starbucks latte is probably going to be just as much, if you throw the change in that bucket. Honestly, it's the least expensive investment you can make in yourself. His job is staying healthy so he can fly the planes, all of those great things. That is what I recommend. So I would do the Dr. Cabral Daily Protocol. And then for him to stay healthy on an ongoing basis, I would probably do 1 to 3 grams of vitamin C per day. I would do that 1 to 2 times a day. And then I would probably do 15 milligrams of zinc at dinner. That's it. That's what I would do every single day after he uses the adult immune protocol, or keeps along with him, and the ENT protocol. I have no doubt that will help. I really have no doubt that will help, without a doubt. So please feel free to share this with your son, and you are an amazing mom for reaching out for him to keep him healthy and keep all of us safe, of course, in the air. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another Cabral House Call. Appreciate each and every one of your listens. Please feel free to share this episode and all the different tips we added in along the way with anyone you believe it could help. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow, where we answer more of our community's questions. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues, and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here, and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stevencabral.com/courses.